the window had been busted out and part of our gear had been stolen.
There's nowhere to play up here at all.
I'm just going to throw this out there that it almost sounded like you were kind of the dark side sometimes of the scene.
At the end of it, our bass player told us, like, he just looked at us, he's like, yeah, this is my last show.
We were debating whether to whip this guy's ass or not.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dark Side of the Scene. I'm your host, Brandon, alongside co-host Ed. Ed, what's going on?
It's going okay.
Just okay.
It's going okay. I'm just drinking water again. No beer, sorry. I'm lame. No, I've been having weird stomach problems, probably because last week I ate like garbage and it caught up with me because, I don't have that strong ass stomach I used to.
The cast iron skills fading away.
Yeah, I'm surprised. But I was thinking earlier about how, like, I wonder if anybody else thinks this way about how, like, I heard a theory about how some band members can be paired up with other ones based on their astrological sign. And I don't fully, I don't fully believe in it completely, but it's weird when you look up your own astrological sign and the person you are, you can't help but actually have those characteristics. It's not like I can't not act that way. And it pisses me off because it's kind of true. Well, my wife would tell you I'm not a neat freak. So I don't know, maybe that's when I got dropped on my head and I lost that ability, but I don't know. Like, I wonder if that holds true for anybody else where they would choose bandmates based on their astrological signs.
For what it's worth, my sign and my wife's sign are the two most compatible signs together. But I'm a Pisces and my sign's supposed to be a big puss and not be confrontational and everything else. Like, yeah, I'm not that at all. I'm always ready to fight.
My wife's a Pisces. I call her a piece of shit all the time as a joke. But yeah, she's pretty much exactly what it is, sort of. Yeah.
Is she always ready to get in fights, or is she more of a pacifist?
Pacifist.
Yeah, that's not me. I'm very confrontational.
So yes, that's why I don't know. Like, and then like I heard some people pick band members based on that. But I mean, I guess in our area, you take anybody you can. If you need like somebody, you're not gonna care about their sign as long as they show up.
I don't ever look at astrology as anything realistic. I don't think the star patterns are. If the stars are really billions and trillions and millions of miles away, how the hell does that have anything to do with me?
Yeah, I know. It's just that's why I'm not fully committed to believe in that stuff, even though it's kind of interesting how, like, I once went through my own bandmates as like astrological signs. I'm like,
where were you born? Where were you born at? What time were you born? Let's see what type of moon was up. Let's see what star patterns were around. Yeah, I know some people that do shit like that. Yeah. They'll map out your whole star map. I'm like, I don't need one.
No, I don't go that in depth. And I was randomly looking up people's birthdays and kind of seeing the characteristics of them. Excuse me. So anybody out there listening, what do you guys think about that? And any guess? What do you think about that too? Future guess, I should say. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Anyone out there listening, if you want to be involved in this topic, you can send us an email. Same email you can send us to if you'd like to be a guest on this show, which is brandon@darksideofthescene.com. You can send us an email about your feelings, what you're thinking, if you agree with Ed, had any experience with that, or if you'd like to come on the show and talk about some other stuff that's happened to you. We'd love to hear it.
Like I said about your feelings, I don't know. This show pisses me off.
Hey, You never know anymore. If we piss people off, then
Oh.
I guess we're getting some sort of reaction. It might not be the reaction we're looking for, but
Sure.
I think it should piss some people off, not in the sense that they're mad at us, but it should piss people off knowing that some of these people get screwed over all the time by these stupid venues and labels and promoters and all sorts of shit that goes on.
Yup.
But tonight we're going to be joined by our guest, Cory. I personally don't know Cory, but I believe Ed does.
I might know him. I might know him.
Yeah. He's from up in that same region and been involved in some bands. I know who he is from bands, but I've never actually talked to the guy. So be interesting to sit down with him tonight and hear what he's got to say. So I think we're going to go ahead and send him an invite. So you just hang tight, guys, and we'll be back in a second. I'd like to welcome our guest to the show, Cory. Cory, thanks for coming out and talking with Ed and I tonight.
Thank you for having me.
What up, Cory?
What up, Uncle Ed? What up, Brandon?
What up?
Just go on record, Ed is my uncle, and we like to eat tacos together. That we have never done.
I know. I need more. I need more. I need more nephews and nieces that want to do the same thing.
Dude, it'd be one hell of a Christmas.
Totally. So how are you this evening?
I'm
Cory?
doing great. I'm doing very well. Well, probably when this podcast drops, the show would have actually already done. My band, Ruthless Hustle, is going back to Ignition to play the CD release split with the Green Leaves, Dead Nerves, and our pals in the Cambion.
Gotcha.
So that'll be.
This isn't about advertising. This is about negative. I'm joking.
Well, if you come out to that show, there's going to be a lot of negativity going on. There's I mean, there'll probably be people throwing trash cans.
That's next week, right? I'll next Friday. Is it Friday?
Yeah.
I'll probably make that. I'll probably make that.
Dude, we gotta get tacos after our set. We got to.
Does one of you guys have a cat, or am I just going fucking crazy?
Yeah, it's my cat.
Okay. I heard a cat right through my headset. I was like, I don't have a cat. What the fuck was that?
The ghost.
It's my cat. I'm so sorry about that.
No, you're good. I was just making sure I'm not losing it over here.
Yeah, she's mad. She's mad I'm in my office. Anytime I go in my office, she knows Dad's in here doing business, and she's not allowed in here.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been my day.
Well, we're about to make that day turn upside down.
Positivity turned negative.
Well, the basis of the show is, well, what the context is. It's like things that you want to talk about that are negative, and the idea of being in a band or putting out music, and just so much could go wrong. I don't know.
Right.
Where would you start? Like, what are the things that bothered you a lot, or
Well, and I have a lot of them, and it's always. I mean, we all know the whole gist of turn a negative into a positive, but a lot of the negative was a really big struggle, and that was just even coming up in the music scene in the 574. I used to go to the Post a lot, and I saw all these bands like Azariah's Prayer, Kingston Falls, and all that. And growing up, I didn't know that the scene was that, and I wanted to be in bands with people, but I didn't know anybody. I was this small town hick between Warsaw and Goshen in this little town called Milford. And anybody I tried to get in a band with, they would shut me out right at the door. And it probably wasn't until like, I want to say 2008, 2009, maybe around that time frame, when I got in my first band, was actually able to play a couple of shows. But I didn't know my head from my asshole. I barely knew how to tune a guitar. I still don't know how to tune a guitar.
No, I was the same. Like, I was the same way. Wasn't part of the scene. I didn't see anything. I didn't join my first band till like 2008 either. I mean, I'm your older uncle, but like, I just worked a lot of second shift. I was kind of antisocial, I guess.
Right. And then I floated through another band, and then I got with my other band, which you're very familiar with, Ed, Hail Shot. And that band took me beyond my wildest dreams, and shout out to, Matt and Jaron. But man, I went through a lot of trial and error through that one. And a
Hmm.
lot of them was having to deal with like the biggest thing was like the big pay to play.
Hmm.
And that was we'll call the guy Mr. E, and he booked shows out of the Portage area.
Oh.
Yeah, he was ripping off a lot of people, a lot of bands, and there was one show in particular at a place he used to call Big Shots.
Hmm.
But
Isn't he
well,
also a chomo? I've always heard that. But
that I don't know. I'm not 100%. I'm not going to go on blast. Well, the funny thing is, like when I said Mr. E, and I'm sitting here thinking there was two bookers working together, and they both have the letter E in their name. So we're going to just call this one Fat E, because I know there's
Fatty.
still, yeah, Fat E, but there's still people that are friends with him, and so that's why I'm not going to go on blast him. But this one in particular time, we were supposed to have, I forget what all led up to this situation. Like he was causing a lot of problems, and I had finally had enough of it. And I had told a lot of people, I was like, dude, if I see that little fuck, I'm gonna hit him. I'm going to go after him. The whole time stayed in the office, never once came out. He actually came out during my band's set and actually came out for like a little bit. And then once we got done, he ran right back into the office until we left.
I wonder why people have that kind of behavior, like the scum of it. Like I know people are passionate about music. I know, putting together shows does cost money and it could
Mhm.
cost you, out of your pocket, but like why do you have to have that kind of personality?
Right. Well, and then I'm going to fast forward it. Like after that, I had caught wind that that promoter had actually gotten exiled. And the other promoter, which I'm going to actually use his name because he never really hasn't done nothing to me, but Ed Roseberry booked Hail Shot back on a Super Joint Ritual. Well, it
That
was
guy,
Super Joint.
that guy's a nice dude. I haven't
Dude,
talked
he's
to him in a long time.
he gave I give it another shout out to Ed Roseberry. He gave Hail Shot our first run. He actually gave my band Ruthless Hustle our guys hooked up with a show up at Stan's room,
Hmm.
the Dropout Kings. Dude's always been fair to me, so I can't throw any shade at that
he
dude.
booked my old band a couple times and we never got to play because of drummer drama. But I never had an issue with that guy either. He's always been cool.
Dude,
Wow.
he's a straight up dude. Like I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard little stories here and there, but that's all hearsay and BS, you know. But and then I went on. I did I did two album releases and a single release, which I don't want to talk about that one because I lived behind that song for so long, and that's what people, oh, you guys should play that cover you guys do. It's so good. I'm like, yeah, we wrote other songs. That is not our Ace of Spades. Like seriously. Like I got really fed up with that song. Like actually mid tour when I was on the first tour with Hail Shot, I was like, I'm not playing. If we ever go on tour again, I'm not playing that song. I hated that song for so long.
Whose
But
idea was it?
to what, play it or not play it?
Play it.
Actually, in the beginning, like this was actually before we had released Volume 1. We started playing that before we released Volume 1 because we originally did Die Die My Darling by Misfits / Metallica, and that was getting some like okay response. But once we did Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins, it was over.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was over, and everybody ate that song up. But I personally did not want to be the one to be remembered for the guy that did the greatest cover of all time. That's not me.
You'd have to compete with the greatest cover band of all time, a Five Finger Death Punch, then.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm done. Interview done.
I think I'm out of here too.
Yeah. Well, no, that's your favorite band, Ed.
Totally.
Plymouth Speedway is going to be booking them here soon.
You know what? That does not surprise me because like up in Jackson, Michigan, their county fair actually got Five Finger Death Punch and some rap acts. And I'm like, how the hell is that butt town that pretty much looks like shout out to Jackson, Michigan? How does a town that looks like Elkhart get all these bands? Like I just found that kind of weird. I don't know.
You know what? I've thought the same thing. I mean, well, even in Warsaw, they booked Theory of a Dead Man, and I actually like Theory of a Dead Man.
Where did they play?
They played at the Warsaw Fairgrounds. Like, oh, this was probably back.
Oh,
in
there was a fair.
2011.
Oh, I kept thinking the pavilion. We were talking about the pavilion there, like last
Oh,
night. With
okay. I
some
got you. I
other
got you. I
another
got you.
guest.
I got you.
Hmm.
But
Little off
no.
topic, but
Oh, sorry.
I was
Sorry.
no, you're good. I was thinking of something, and I mentioned five finger butt punch, and this reminds me of this guy that came over, and he was friends with our old drummer, and when people talk about, oh man, I listen to metal, I love metal, name some bands, are like fucking Five Finger Death Punch, Disturbed. And I was like, what?
Dang.
I'm like, damn, that's hardcore. And then we were practicing, he brought this dude over, and you could tell he wasn't really a metal fan or anything, but he was getting into it, jamming. He's like, man, it feels like I'm in a fucking Disturbed concert. I was just like, dude, I'm about to quit playing music altogether now. Like he meant it as a fucking compliment. As like, it really like I understand that's probably the only thing he could relate it to, is like, but you really think this band sounds like Disturbed?
Oh man.
Yama.
I was like, oh god.
Hey, at least he got into it. At least he was into it. So
Yeah,
props for that.
That's what I'm saying. Props to that. But like, it really is disheartening when someone says you sound like Disturbed. I'm like,
Well,
is that a
Ed-
compliment? Thanks.
do you guys remember a place called Sunset Hall in Fort Wayne? It was a venue.
I've been there one time. I saw Born of Osiris there.
I played
Gotcha.
there.
So, so it was Sunset Hall, and then it was Hammerhead Hall, and then turned back to Sunset, and then they haven't done anything since.
It's still there then.
Yeah, it's still there, but as far as I've understood it, nothing is being done there.
That's
So
sad.
I said I
It's very
played there
sad.
at Sunset in 2008.
Oh, really? I think that I know one of my buddies' bands, and this is back before Asking Alexandra was ever a big thing. They played there with them. But that was, God, I want to say 2007, 2006.
That would have been I've actually called this person out already, but that would have been most likely Sound Services to book those shows. He made everyone basically buy your way onto the show. You had to buy tickets and pay him up front for the tickets just to get on those shows.
Pay to play.
Basically, yeah. And then he got pissed off at me because we were giving tickets away in the parking lot, and he said that we were taking money from him. I was like, we already paid for the tickets. He said, well, those people were coming through the door, so that's taking money away.
Right.
I mean, whatever, douchebag.
Right. This show that I remember, it was a lady that ran Mom Productions, M period O period M period, and I forget what that was supposed to be abbreviated to, but God, that was so long ago. But I lost my train of thought.
Didn't she also book shows down at the Fifth Quarter Lounge in Indianapolis?
Amy. Was it Amy? Or yeah.
I remember
Amy Edwards?
Maybe. I remember the mom. I don't remember. I know she at some point I've had dealings with MOM at some point. I don't remember.
I played there. It was like a basement, right?
Fifth Quarter was upstairs, I thought.
No, it was in a basement. It was basically an old gym, and I remember seeing so many bands there too. Rest in peace, Fifth Quarter.
Actually, it was some sort of club upstairs, and then it was like a tiny basement. I think that was the building they moved it in.
We played at the upstairs portion, and it was called the Skyline or something like that. The Sky 24/7.
I know after the Fifth Quarter that was in the basement closed, Amy really dropped off, which is sad because she was a really good promoter to work for down in Indianapolis. But no, when Hammerhead Hall opened, we actually played their first show there, and they had umpteen million bands there, and there was probably like 20 people there. And at the time, Hailshot had just got their quote unquote banner. We had took a sticker and blew it up at the local Walmart to make a banner. I actually stuck my drumstick through it. If you go to the Karma Records in Warsaw, that banner actually still sits up there today. But the one thing I would always do after our set, I'd grab like a few CDs and a few stickers and go and try and sell them. And this lady that was obviously inebriated looks at me and goes, you guys are probably the best pop metal band I've ever heard in my life. And I looked at her and I was like, what in the hell did you just say to me? Like, did you really just call us pop metal? She's like, yeah, that one song. I was like, oh God, I'm walking away. I'm out of here. And actually, funny enough, somebody brought that up recently, and I was like, yeah, thanks for bringing back my PTSD.
Man, you guys should have like submitted that for the newest Top Gun film.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie, I did. I reached out as hard as I could to do that. I wanted to have this was back before I hated it. I did. I believed in that song. I did. I went from loving it to hating it, and I believed in that song. The funny thing is, when we dropped that song, Psycho Stick dropped their cover of it.
Oh, that the band that makes fun of everybody's song.
Yeah,
Is that their shtick?
yeah. Well, they just make goofy ass music. Like they did the beer song that was on 98.9 The Bear, Bob and Tom. So there's that.
Isn't Psycho Stick got one of the guys from Five Finger Butt Punch? Or is that a different
I
band
have
with the name Psycho?
no idea. I have no
Oh, that's
idea.
like Psycho Sinner.
No.
That was the drummer.
Or he was psychosexual, and then they thought that was in bad taste, so he had to change the name.
Yeah.
Didn't they wear
It's
like
so bad.
weird red mask or something?
Yeah, it's so bad. He wears a devil mask. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so bad. Anyway.
But no, then fast forwarding, I went on big tours with Hailshot, played all over the Whiskey a Go Go, which the one thing I do I used to be a heavy drinker, as you can ask Ed, he could attest to this. We played the Whiskey a Go, and the night before we were in Las Vegas. And if anybody is ever familiar with Fear Loathing in Las Vegas, that night I got the fear just from drinking. And playing the Whiskey a Go, like it was okay to be on the bottom level, but you go up to the top and you get vertigo really bad, and being hungover was not the best thing in the world. But the one thing I didn't like about the Whiskey, I love playing the Whiskey because a lot of big names played that stage, and I kind of felt like at the time Hailshot from this area was the only band that had got to touch that stage yet. I mean, I've seen other bands that have went over there and got to play from the scene of Indiana, but I think I really like to believe we were the first to break through that barrier.
I mean, I don't literally look up that place. How big is it?
It's actually pretty small. It's smaller. It's smaller because it actually sits on a hill. It's actually I want to say it's a little bit smaller than what Pierre's is, and I'm not even joking.
Well, what part of Pierre's?
like the main stage.
Oh, I mean the building. How big do you think the building is?
Yeah, probably no bigger than what the Ignition is.
No shit. Huh.
I'm not even playing with you, man.
Huh. Wow.
If you ever watch, it was a movie that the lead singer from Black Veil Brides. Well, it's the American Satan.
Oh,
they actually have a video of being outside the Whiskey, and you see how big it is. That is actually real.
I'll have to watch that just for a reference.
Right. But the one thing I really didn't like about that venue, and I don't care because I'll never go back to that place again. If you sold merch, they took money from you. Like,
yeah, one of those, huh?
Yep. I heard your comment on there, and I was like, well, I got one for Ed. Here we go. And it's like, what? You guys are one of the biggest venues of all time in this United States, and you're taking money from bands?
That's shitty. How much was it? Do you remember?
I can't remember. Matt Reish would know.
Oh,
I want to say it was like, you say if you sold like $40 worth, they took, I want to say like $10 off of you.
How the fuck does anyone think they have the right to take money from merch that you guys paid for yourself? That is what
I know, and that's
my
money
balls.
to get.
Like,
I know, it's like you're going across the country and you're going to take money from us. What the hell?
So what were the
fucking horse shit?
Yeah, what was the perks working there? Did they feed you and shit or what?
No, That you
Nothing.
got free, like you got free alcohol and you got free water.
I would have drank a shitload and then put
Oh,
it in
I
my
drank a
pants
shitload. I drank a shitload of water that day
just to get
because
it back,
again,
just to get it back. But that doesn't mean that it
right,
speeds you on the
right.
road.
Well,
I would have just
in the
fucking lied and said they didn't sell a fucking thing.
well, that's the thing. We actually what we ended up doing was actually just selling out of the back of our van that time.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
Fuck them.
So nice try, assholes. Well, it's kind of like when OTEP came to freaking Cheers up in South Bend. They wouldn't allow anybody else to sell merch. Okay, so just go sell it outside in your vehicle. What are they going to do? Come out and tell you you have to shut that up? I'll tell them to kiss my
I
ass.
didn't hear about it because I wasn't into them. I thought it was Opeth, and then I fucking
No,
felt
it was
disappointed.
OTEP.
I
It was
know.
OTEP.
She has so
Yeah.
many horror stories about being a psycho in general. Like, I'd be leery of ever wanting to be around her on a show anyways, because it sounds like all the bands that have played with her, like, there's been all sorts of, and it could be an entire episode, is find some band out there. So if you're out there listening, if you actually had to play with OTEP and you've got horror stories, we can make that into like a mini series.
Make that into a thing.
Yeah.
But
I would be. Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, you're fine.
No, I know I'm fine. That's why I got married.
Yes. Very true.
But no, after touring with Hailshot with 2 tours, I started noticing back at home that the scene was actually coming back around. Like Lenore Colt was really popping off. There was a band called Hostile. There was a lot of bands going on at the time, and I really wanted to come back home and play at home. I mean, the guys were, they never really were about the same like I am. But there's something just about the scene of Indiana. And it doesn't matter if it's in Gary, it doesn't matter if it's in Goshen, up in Fort Wayne, or down south. There is something in the air that I just absolutely love, and I need it every time. And it don't matter what band's on stage.
Mainly because we're in the middle of
okay.
everything. You can just drive like a bit away to see something.
Yeah, because
And
like
then
we're
screw the big cities, and then it's time to go back home. You're all familiar. I mean, I feel that way.
yeah. Like I don't know that. And then Hailshot was, and there was issues I'm not going to get into. I actually vowed never to really bring that up because I'm actually really good friends with those guys now, and I love them to death, and I can't wait to see what comes of Hailshot now because they do have another drummer. And actually, funny enough, before we ever dropped our first album, he actually came over and jammed with the guys, and I was like, if I ever step away from the band, you guys need to get him, and they did. So I went and joined the new lineup of Hostile, and with Josh Moon, Joey, Justin, and myself. I was playing bass at the time, and it was about to be like another hail shot. There was tours lined up, two big tours, and there was an individual in the band that just, I don't know, wasn't having it. Like, he just wanted the glam, but didn't want to go for it. And I don't know why he wouldn't want to go for it, because the one tour that was getting ready to be lined up was All That Remains and Unearth, and we were pulling opening act right at the fucking gate.
I remember that.
And yeah. Actually right before that, we were actually supposed to do a couple dates with Waking the Cadaver and Gorgasm, and I can't remember what other band was on that bill. So there was 2 big tours, and just it fell apart. I mean, I know why it fell apart, but that's all under the bridge drama that I don't like to get into now, because me and that individual actually made up, and shout out to him and his band that he's doing right now, and he's doing his thing. But yeah,
it's not for everybody. That's what I assume.
It's not forever, but it's
for everybody. I mean,
yeah,
the touring lifestyle.
Right. Well, dude, that was the one thing I got scared being on the road and being over in California, Oregon, Washington, and worrying about home. And at both times, one, my fiance at the time, she's working, taking care of home, and shout out to my wife. She's a trooper. She puts up with my bullshit, and I got tired of feeling afraid. Am I going to come home to an eviction notice? Is there going to be food in the house? You know? and it was like, okay, I need to make a change, and then had to do the tour. Going on that last tour with Hailshot, I was scared. I was fully scared because I was only 2 months sober, and if anybody knows the rock star life, you know what comes with that rock star life: free booze.
McDonald's.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, oh, ugh, ugh. But no, did the I think it was like 5 months with Hostile. Got to open up for a band called Traders and Victims over in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was weird because that to this day is probably the biggest, uh, second to biggest crowd turnout I've ever played for, let alone playing for like Superjoint, playing 2 run Full Terror Assault. That those were insane. But yeah, that was the most active crowd I had ever seen, and I was just like, holy crap, holy crap. And then that band fell apart, and I was going to take a little bit of time away from music because I was burnt out. And a friend of mine called me up and said they needed a drummer for just one show, and we got into talk. And he was a good friend of mine. Shout out to Mike Robbs. He's a guitarist out of the Chicago 219 area. Well, his one band's out of Chicago, but he's from the 219 area. But he's a guitar player for, at the time, Deaf Ear, but he's also the guitar player for I Bet and Freak on a Leash. But we were talking, he goes, so what are you going to do now that, no longer in Hostile? I was like, dude, I think I'm just going to ride off into the sunset. I've done everything I wanted. And he goes, you're not done. So I did the show with him, and after we got done, he looked me dead in the face. He goes, please don't be done. You still got gas in the tank. And then it was so weird. A week after, somebody got a hold of me to be in their band playing bass, and which turned into me being the lead singer for a band called Bhopal Assault, and didn't really do anything too fancy. Did some local shows here. We opened up for the band Wrath in New Haven. Played a lot of shows up in South Bend. And then the Beast happened, and that 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 set a lot of things back. Like a lot of shows got canceled, and then the shows started happening again, and then an incident happened that just I've seen splinter the scene up in this side of Indiana. A individual by D, I will call him, got accused of accusations, and I don't like to go too far into it and slander somebody because it wasn't me, it wasn't my band. So,
Right.
but that person was really big in the scene, and you just saw everything just go down. So coming out of the monster, and then, or the beast as you call it, and then that happened, you just saw the life suck out of the bands and shows stop happening.
But I didn't understand, like, see, I remember all that because I didn't understand why that whole incident had to affect everything else. It doesn't, like, it's almost like
it doesn't make sense to me to this day, because
it's like the one band was the entire scene, and the only reason there was a scene is because of that one band, and when that one band's not there anymore, it disappears.
Well, and I'm gonna. It was actually just the individual, because the individual himself actually put on a lot of shows. I saw him put on a lot of shows at Smith's, Ignition, Hardy's. He actually put on shows outside of his own house.
Right. He had a festival thing.
Yeah, he had a big festival.
That's how I met this dude talking on the mic.
Yeah. Oh, really?
That's how Ed and I met. It was from one of those shows together.
My first meeting with Brandon, I go, man, you guys remind me of Black Dahlia Murder. And like, if you don't know him, he just gives you this straight face, like, yeah, I can see that we sound like that, but like he had no emotion. It was funny. I'm like, that was a compliment, man.
And that's before like the Beast happened, Big Shot shut down, so you really didn't have much. And Pierre's was kind of on and off again throughout that. I mean, we had the Clyde, but nothing really solid. And then, you know, that I still think to this day that that individual was a lot of the reason, alongside William Finn, was the reason like King 810 came around here. And King 810's never stepped foot, but it brought people it brought money to the door, you know? And I don't know, like, I think it was just a lot of it had to do with that individual uh doing a lot of booking and stuff and brought bands. But I also heard a lot of horror stories about him too, like how he had his foot on a lot of the neck of bands. Like he sabotaged, like, and again, this was hearsay, but it was a lot of him putting his foot on the back of their neck and sabotaging their recordings because he did record them a lot. And yeah, I know of one band that never got their record back after they recorded with him. And I was like, well, I guess a lesson learned then, huh?
Hmm.
And then another part of a scene that I ended up finding out, like there was like a big crowd, like a bunch of friends that really got into like cocaine and started just not caring about music anymore and just doing a lot of blow. And this I do know on a fact, and like these are key players that a lot of people know, and they started like just wanting to do drugs and screw each other's wives. And it's like, this is what the music scenes really became.
Sex,
What
drugs, rock and roll.
Right.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Right. And you know, it's made me step back and really pick and choose who I support, who I want to support, because a let alone like all the stuff that happened with Mr. D and the whole circle of friends doing cocaine and like just screwing each other over. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to supporting the people I really know that have always been there, and they haven't. Ed's being one of them. You know, I've always tried to support Ed in any which way I can, and it's just like it kind of feels like things are kind of starting to shape up a little bit. I mean, we got shows going back again at Ignition for the time being, and
Right. I kept begging him to, try it, like do it, man. He's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if bands want to play. I'm like, dude, they want to play.
they do want to play, and I do shout out to you, Ed. You, if it wasn't for you, I don't think shows would be going back at
No,
Ignition.
actually, I'm the one they start the reason they started, because he asked me if it was a good. I've known Tim for a while, and he asked me one day, he's like, I was thinking about having metal bands here. Would that be a good idea? I'm like, all ages metal bands? Yes. And they've been, I have not seen one bad one yet, honestly. Like a turnout's always good. People are respectful. I think maybe one time there was some underage dumbasses drinking, but you'll have that. But it's just been really good for.
And you know what, Ed? You're the one who did that. You did that, Ed. Put that in your resume.
Well, yeah. So, and like, that's why he's pretty cool to let me like put shows if I have to,
Right.
But it's cool that everybody else reaches out to him too, because as long as they do what they say that he asked them to do, then the show like next week,
Right.
That'll probably be a good show, and
I'm
good.
looking forward to it because again, it's Ruthless Hustle's backyard, and that again, I shout out to you for putting us on that show last week.
You're getting 2 shows in a row, and you've never played there now. Damn, nice.
Yeah. I'm happy about that.
That's cool.
I will always shout out you for giving us that first shot. And
no problem. Everybody enjoyed you. You were cool.
Oh yeah, I was just happy with the turnout. Like it was like insane.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh, nice, because you never know with like after winter shows.
Right.
It wasn't too bad cold.
Right.
Well, but this is all positives. What else you got that's negative?
Well, through BA, there was some situations that had risen with some members, and they had parted ways, and we had actually picked up Isaac Stansberry. Shout out to Isaac Stansberry, who's the bass player for the Cambia, and he also
You little whore. He's now a band whore.
Yeah, the dude, but the dude's a maniac though. I love that dude to death. He's such a solid musician.
Yeah.
But he's also,
He's nicer than I could ever be as far as a person goes.
I don't know. You guys need to have a nice race, but end it negatively.
Yeah, probably.
But he even does madman recordings. Like he will actually come instead of you going to him, he comes to you.
Oh, he's like the Sweetwater guy without the van.
Hey, I don't know about that one.
Oh no, never mind. For those who know, Sweetwater was basically started with a dude in a van, a recording studio, and went everywhere. Eventually, he got endorses and companies to invest in him. And that's how he became the billionaire he probably is now. Thank you.
Right.
I thought you were talking about like one of your childhood horror stories where the guy came up with candy in a van. You said Sweetwater.
Yeah, that's why I thought this was going. I was like, oh, this is going to turn more negative than what my stories are.
This really went dark, Ed.
Uncle Ed, with this bear, I want you to show me, where did the man touch you?
I don't know. I actually had some Sweetwater candy right here. I've been eating it while you guys were talking.
But no, we had parted ways with our bass player and got Isaac Stansberry, and things were starting to pick back up. And then again, drummer, there was some issues, and Isaac was only a part-timer, and I wasn't really feeling the stuff going on in BA at that time, and I was ready to move on. But the other individual, and I'm not going to mention who that is, but he wanted to hang on, and I just was not feeling it anymore. And I had switched jobs. That had taken its toll on like adjusting to that, and I was getting myself wrapped up into other projects, and I ended up just parting ways with BA. And in the midst of it all, I was talking to my now drummer Chad, who was playing for a band at the time, Cutthroat, but he hadn't left yet. So I basically waited like a couple of months after he had left to start talking to him, but was also in talks with our now vocalist Tyson, who also is a rapper. We had started like, I was like, well, I got a bunch of songs. I want to put a name with the songs. And I actually originally given the name Ruthless Hustle to Tyson. And I was like, hey, you guys want to start a band? Like, I have this and I have songs. And the bass player we had at the time, he was all about it. And then he got cold feet once we had booked our first show.
Mm.
And then so I reached back to the old bass player that we had parted ways with in BA and actually mended that fence, because that actually ended pretty bad between he and I. And he and I had been friends for so long. And it took it took a lot of healing to get us to this point. And the one thing, like being in a band with somebody, I hate going in blind, so I want to get to know that person before I even think about strapping on a guitar or picking up the drumsticks and writing music with this individual, because I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And there was a couple incidences where I did that, and I was like, oh, I'll never do that again. So, and the only other reason too, one, I wanted my friendship back, but two, I'd also wrote a lot of this material with that guy, so he kind of knew what was going on. So it was a no-brainer just to bring him up to speed and dust off the cobwebs and go at it. And here we are.
But a negative to a positive. Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I really tried to think a lot of the negatives. And a lot of the negatives, it was, turned positive, but there was some dark, like the whole like bunch of friends doing cocaine that's still going on right now.
That's just expensive. Why are people still doing that?
And dude, and a lot of these people are supposed to be like good friends and supporting shows and all that, and it's like it's a mind boggle. It's really a mind boggle.
I always thought of the 80s how like it's a deep, dark, dirty secret drug, and it's weird how it's even as an adult. I don't do drugs myself, but like it's to me.
You don't take Tylenol?
Well, I took aspirin. But I'm talking about like that kind of thing. It's like Makes you wonder how many people secretly do it. And it's like, like I guess I'm not judging, but I am, because I'm like, drugs are bad. They could ruin a lot of things for you if you're not careful.
Right.
And,
Well, the biggest thing in like, I saw a post the other day, and actually I think I said this to you, Ed. Somebody was like, "Man, I miss shows in the 574," and somebody chimed in, "Well, your cancel culture took care of that." And
yeah.
even the cancel culture is so hypocritical
Yeah, I know.
because
I mean,
it,
yeah.
it sucks. It's like, why are you going to do this? Why are you getting into the person's life when that person goes up on stage?
Well, for me, it's like, that's fine if you want to believe in something, but you also don't you got to think about what you're doing when you're canceling something else, because
Right,
it's like, were you even there for the music, or you're
right.
just there for because it was a popularity contest to cancel whatever it
Well,
was?
and here's my thing, okay, on the whole cancel culture thing. They're all about exiling bands. Nobody's exiled Five Finger Death Punch. They're still selling out arenas. The dude's a woman beater, and everybody praises him.
No, not me, but yeah, I get that.
Right.
Like,
We said the same thing on a couple episodes about the vocalist of As I Lay Dying had his supposedly tried to hire a hitman to murder his wife, but yet they're back together. They're out
No,
touring,
they're not
releasing an
back.
album.
They're not together.
Not him and
They're
his wife. I'm talking about the band.
oh, we'll see in the
they caught up with Manson, obviously. A big example. Everybody used to think, they used to like defend the guy, and up until that point, once he got in trouble, like,
well,
nobody talks about him no more.
okay, and getting back to the whole thing of As I Lay Dying, like Jordan, Nick Hippa, and Josh, they left. Well, Josh left because he wanted to do something else, but Jordan and Nick, they left because they couldn't bear it. And actually, Tim's gone on record, and I'm not defending Tim for what he did. I still like As I Lay Dying. I'll even openly admit it. Do I think it was right what he did? Hell no.
Hmm.
But the dude, he did his time, and time shows that you've been rehabilitated or anything like that. But here's my other biggest thing. Everybody wants to throw stones at the guy that tried to kill his wife. What about Vince fucking Neil, who killed somebody and everybody still praises him?
Yeah.
I
They make,
mean,
yeah, I remember that.
yeah. And I'm sorry, As I Lay Dying is 10 times better than what Motley Crue will ever fucking be.
I don't. I'm not really a Crew fan. I think they have a couple cool songs, but I don't get it.
I mean,
But I'm
the
also a
drummer
Guns N'
has a big
Roses.
dick. I mean, come on, you've
I'm
ever
a
seen
Guns N'
Caroline?
Roses fan, and I like them because they're ugly and they didn't give a shit. But Motley Crue's, they always had a feud, and I'm like, yeah, but Guns N' Roses music's better. I know some people would
Do
probably
you
get
guys
mad.
remember Tommy Lee's new metal rap band he had back
Yeah,
in?
Methods of Mayhem.
Yep. I always think of that.
Dude, you want to talk new metal? I'm your guy.
I was a huge new metal fan too. It's funny because I grew up in that era, so I listened to all that shit, and then I started finding out bands like, honestly, it was the Black Dahlia Murder and Shadows Fall, and even As I Lay Dying and Kill Switch
Right.
back in like 2003, and it's kind of when I changed from what I
Wasn't 2003? No, it was 2002 when their first Alive with Just Breathing had just dropped, and
Yeah.
My Last Serenade.
Yep, I had that in 2002, but it was Ozfest at 2003. I seen them and
Yes.
Shadows Fall
Yep.
and some other bands. There's still a bunch of new metal bands, but that's when I think Fuse had what the fuck was that?
Uranium.
Yep. And that's when I
Yep.
saw
Miss
Funeral
Julia.
Thirst. Funeral
Yep.
Thirst video came out. I was like, these dudes are fucking badass. And that's what changed my whole perspective was the Black Dahlia Murder.
Same. I'm not even gonna sit here and bullshit. Yeah, but the thing is now today I'm 37. I'm gonna be 38 in May, and dude, I just love music in general. And the funny thing is, like, I didn't know, like, I knew Vanilla Ice did a song which was a remake of Ice Ice Baby, but you go back and actually listen to that on his discography, and it's actually a pretty good new metal album. It's actually really good. And then I looked at see who all was on the studio album. It was the drummer that's now for Godsmack. The bass player that was in Snot, and the two guitar players, I believe, were like in Non-Point, I believe.
Hmm.
But again, it was a new metal album, and to me, it was before Head PE. That's what blows my mind.
Those guys played around here quite a bit in the last few years. I don't know
Who's
if
that?
there's
Non-Point.
well, Non-Point and Head PE. They played Kokomo a lot. And I was
They
like,
played Carl's Tavern.
yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah, that blew my mind. I was like, Head PE playing Carl's Tavern. What the fuck is that?
I remember like they had one big popular song in like I think 2000 called Bartender or something like that. I remember that was like the song that I actually heard on the radio. But
I remember their song that really broke them through was their song called Blackout.
yeah, I don't know. I was never really a fan. I just remember they had a song called "Hey Bartender, Hit Me with a Double" and some shit like that.
I think it's actually still the same song.
Sounds like a country song to me, but I don't know.
Maybe it is Blackout. I don't know.
Everything is a country song to you, Uncle Ed.
Very much.
I told Ed the other night he just needs to start playing country and make some money.
Country cover band.
I can't do a country cover band. I know a guy in a country cover band. He's cool. But yeah, he says he's a metal kid.
Yeah.
And like he just started playing these gigs because it got him paid, and it just makes sense.
There's
Yeah,
a dude
but-
from Indianapolis. I think he's the guitar player of Fleshbore. He plays in a country band as well.
Wait, Fleshbore is in like Michael Hare's Fleshbore?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mike, the guitar player, Michael,
Yeah,
like
okay.
he plays in a country band.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Ed
Right.
doesn't care.
We make mistaken for the other band.
No, I was
From
making
Indy?
sure. I get Fleshbone and Fleshbore mixed up all the time.
Oh,
I don't know why. It's me.
Yeah, we played a
Oh.
couple shows with Fleshbore back in the day.
Yeah.
They're really good, cool dudes.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'm not friends with the guys or anything like that. Their bass player, Cole, he's come out to a couple shows that we played in Indy that they weren't playing. Cole's a fucking phenomenal bassist.
He's the one that plays the 6-string bass, and he always had his shirt off, right? Long
Yep.
hair.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. I just make sure I was thinking of the same guy.
I want to.
Yeah.
I really want to play with my shirt off, but I don't want to offend people with my stinky tits.
Dude, I don't even want to hear from you. I'm actually, you know what? Here's a negative thing. At the show last week, I screamed, "Take your shirt off, Ed!" And all he does is unzip his shirt or his hoodie. I'm like, really?
That was honestly, that was an awkward. I'll tell everybody publicly. That was an awkward show. Like I had a good time, but like somebody I used to date was in the front watching me, and it was very awkward. And my wife
That's when
was
you
there. My
that's
wife,
when
my wife was there too, but she didn't like to stand in the front, so it's very
Right.
awkward to have somebody you date watch you, and wondering if they're undressing you with their eyes or whatever.
that's when you turn around and fart out at him, Ed.
It was so loud. I doubt that would matter. You know,
She'd
You
smell
put the
it.
microphone next to it and amplify that shit.
Actually, I did have a. Did I tell you, Ed, about this? The awkward moment I had at that show with John's dad.
oh, Mr. Bill Gates.
Yeah, I did not know that was John's dad.
He looks like Bill Gates. That's what I say every time I see him.
Well, and he was being nice. I went to go walk my wife out to her car,
Yeah.
and he was standing behind our merch table. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to buy something?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm just looking." And I'm like, "Okay, can you stand on the other side, please?"
Oh my God.
So, well, hold on. And I saw John's wife, is it?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend. I saw her there, and when I came back, she was gone, but he was sitting behind your guys' merch table, and I'm like, "What is this dude's deal?" And this is before you guys went on, and I'm trying to signal to John, like, "Hey, come over here! Like, this dude's gonna steal your shit." And then I saw the girlfriend come back, and he moves, and I'm like, he walks away, and I'm like, "Hey, who's that guy that was just sitting here?" And she goes, "Oh, that's John's dad."
Bill Gates.
I got red faced. I was like, "Oh my God." And
Dude, I
she's like,
remember-
"What? Huh?"
I remember when John was in the other band before I was in this band with them, like they were playing, and he came out and like his dad was talking. I'm like, you fucking suck, John, you suck ass. And his dad gave me this like look like, oh, what? Even though I was just joking around, it was just funny to have like a Bill Gates looking dad look at you.
Right.
What is going
I
on?
thought it was funny when your vocalist called out our band, and I'm the only one in the back going, "Yeah, Ruthless Hustle sucks," and everybody turned
I
their head. And looked
thought
at me.
it was you being loud. The guy that told me to turn his shirt. I didn't know that was you. I was
That was me.
okay. Yeah, folks, don't take your clothes off unless you're told to on stage.
And don't listen to Cory Stump at shows. Just don't do it.
Sure. Man,
it will
what's
end
that?
bad.
So what? Anything else you got on your mind that you know?
You know, there's one more thing.
Sure.
When a fan spends the time to come out to a show and let it be on the other side of Indiana or wherever, I think musicians need to take that into consideration that, you know, people have come to see you, and you shouldn't look them in the eye and say, I'm purposely going to screw up the show. Because I had that happen to me a couple of weeks ago. I had an individual look at me dead in the eyes and said, I'm going to screw up tonight purposely. Whether he was drunk or just nervous, I don't, there's a professionalism when you get up on that stage. And
Are you
people
talking about you drove all the way to see the band? The dude told you that?
Yeah.
Unless, they weren't being funny, because this sounds like something I'd say.
Say, it sounds
No,
like
he
to me
was
someone was just joking, be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna fuck this up tonight."
No, he purposely fucked up, and it actually pissed off. It pissed off his other bandmate, and it pissed me off that bandmate that got pissed off was saying sorry for blowing his wig on stage. And I'm like, dude, you don't need to be fucking sorry. And the thing is, I haven't had the heart to tell him why, because his bandmate stood out back and told me he was purposely going to screw up.
Huh.
And it pisses me off.
Hmm.
And let alone, like, I spent the time to travel from one side of Indiana to the other to get told that to my face. Fuck you. I want my money back. And the sad thing is, the other individual that blew his wig, I'm good friends with him, and I love him to death. And that dude would probably be the only other reason I come out, because that dude, he would have to apologize to me straight to my face. And I hope that individual hears me, Mr. C.
Mhm.
I hope he hears this and says, "Oh shit, you know, I fucked up." Because not only are you screwing your band over, you're screwing a person over that came to support you, you know? And Ed, yes, I actually heard you say that a few times, and it's always in joking, but Ed, you're one of those musicians of a one of a kind out of the state of Indiana that I hold in high regards. I think you're great.
I'm okay, honestly.
Shut the fuck up.
But like, back to your story, like if anybody's come to see us, you know, and compliments me, and I'll say thank you very much, you know, and like,
Right.
you know, I'll talk to them. It's not like, I don't know. For me, a show is basically a blessing, even now. So,
Right.
any show, you know, we got the beast, and we got shows taken away from us. So for me to play,
Right.
I want to make sure I give those people the money's worth. I mean,
Right. And
I like moving around, but if the stage is too small, it's fine. But I'm gonna hope they enjoy themselves, regardless. You know,
right. But yeah, that got said to me, and it's actually been on my chest for a while. And I was like, there's been times I've actually wanted to reach out to the other bandmate and say, dude, I need to talk to you because it's really bothering me. But saying it on here, I'm fine with it.
But like, it's good that you said it. Maybe other people would understand that. Like, if you're going to somebody coming to see your band, you know, do your best.
Dude, I get honored that people walk down the street to come see it. Like, there were people that, you know, had came to our practice spaces, but to see us in a live setting, I'm fucking tickled.
I've always had this opinion, and not everyone I've ever been in bands with will share this opinion with me. And I'll be the first to admit that I can be very hard to be in a band with, because I expect professionalism, or I expect people to at least fucking put in the same amount of effort that I do.
Right.
And I always end up butting heads and, oh, he's an asshole. No, I don't want to waste my time dealing with fucking people that don't want to do anything.
Right.
So I expect shit to happen. And if someone's coming out to watch you perform, I expect, even if it's only 5 people, don't get up at the show and be like, oh, it sucks. There's no one here. I'm just going to stand here and look like I don't even want to be here. No, there's
Yeah.
still 5 people out there,
Yeah.
like, and they're watching you. So try and look like you're enjoying yourself. Yeah, it might be discouraging, but it annoys me when bands do that shit. Even like
Dude,
bands that I've been
actually,
in.
in Ruthless Hustle, I think we played 2 shows. One, and I think we only played to like 9 people, but we were like, hey, it's just a overjoyed glory practice, but we still gave those 9 people a show, but we goofed off a little bit, you know, we had fun with it. And that's the other thing too. I love having fun, but when I see a big crowd, and I agree with you, Brandon, I really do 100%. And yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I know the feeling about the few people. Like the last band I was in, I won't mention it, but like we had a lot of shows where there wasn't very many people, and it's very discouraging. But I still did what I was supposed to do, and
Yeah.
it's what to me it's always like it is kind of like a live practice in case there's more people. But yeah, I know that feeling where it's almost disheartening, but I still like to play out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
whatever.
well, the funny thing is, and we're talking about like live shows and practices. Actually, this is going back to like it was the day after we had Hailshot had played at the Whiskey A Go, and the next show that Matt had booked us on, I was like, oh, it's just this little bar. It was weird because it was like stage, there's like a barricade, and then there's the floor, and it was all like face level. So except for the drum rising, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be an easy night, you know. The night goes on, and this place is packed.
Yes.
I mean, wall to wall. And I looked at Matt and said, I fucking hate you. Holy shit. Oh my God. Because the night before we played with like these indie rock bands, and there was still a crowd, but not like the crowd that we were used to.
Right.
And like all these bands were just killing it. And I'm like, oh boy, I gotta give 125 on this one. Because everybody was giving 100%. And I was like, man, we're the closing act. You know, they came to see us, and everybody was still there. And it was my first time ever experiencing an all-female circle pit. I'm looking over at Jaron Clark, and he's looking back at me going, what the fuck's going on? I was like, I have no idea, but it's cool as fuck.
Chicks
Like,
rock.
cool.
Chicks rock.
Dude, like, shout out to all the females that go out into the circle pit and kick men's ass.
I wish that would happen more often instead of the stinky dudes.
Yeah. But yeah, that was it wasn't really a negative, but it was just one of those memories I had. I was like, holy shit. Actually, here's a weird one for you. We were in Arizona, and this is all true. We had made a pit stop. I forget what part of it. I think we were in Tempe, Arizona, Tupelo, Arizona, something like that. Anyway, I went to go use the restroom, coming back, and I always carried a knife on me, and because if somebody's gonna jump me, guess what? You're getting stabbed, and I'm out of here. But this gentleman had asked me for water, and I was like, "No, man, I don't have any water. I'm sorry. I
pee in his mouth. Anyway,
I'd already peed.
oh, that's right. Duh.
But he's like, well, do you have any change? I was like, dude, leave me alone. And we got to our destination, and I was talking to a guy, and one of my buddies that was actually had moved down to Arizona, and we were talking, and I was like, yeah, we were at this, you know, rest stop, and this crackhead came up asking me for water, and he goes, did you give him water? And I'm like, absolutely not. And he goes, you denied him water? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, you're lucky there wasn't a cop around you. And I was like, why would he have arrested the crackhead? And he goes, no, you. Huh? In the state of Arizona, it's Arizona, I think part of Texas, and I think New Mexico. If you deny somebody water, that is actually a crime. And they can take you to jail.
I've never heard that before.
Oh, it's real. It's real. I was like, well, I guess I'll give somebody like a thimble, like
Spit in his
yeah,
mouth.
or go in and buy him
You
a
can't get
bottle.
arrested because you didn't know the law, at the time. Be like, we're not from here. Sorry.
Right. And that's what I would have told him if I would have gotten arrested. But apparently that's a thing.
You
And
sure it's not one of those old stupid laws? Because I know up in like
no,
Mishawaka, it's
I
illegal to
looked,
jack off a monkey here in Indiana. Like,
It
someone
is.
had
well,
yes, you
shit.
can look that shit up.
I'm not all for bestiality, but I did look it up. It's in Arizona. Yeah, it
That's
is
fucking
real.
weird.
It is very weird. Well, that's like say if I was Ed's like 10-year-old son
Hmm.
in the state of Indiana, if I was his 10-year-old son in the passenger seat with no shoes on, they pulled Ed over for driving. And they saw that I had no shoes on, he could get arrested for kidnapping because I have no shoes on.
Yeah,
I'm not even.
I remember seeing that one too. There's
Yeah,
also another one. It's illegal to throw your computer at your neighbor or something like that. I was like,
what?
Well,
I was like, well, I guess that makes sense, but
he didn't have a cup of sugar, so I gave him what for.
Or what was the other one that I saw? I guess like on Tuesdays you can't go outside your house without with a shirt off.
yeah,
Or Thursdays,
just something like that.
Something crazy like that.
Yeah, there are like all these old stupid laws, which is funny because it's the reason there's a law because it had to have happened at one point, so they
Right.
turned it into a law. But
Right.
the whole monkey thing, I always seen that one. I always cracked up. I was like, someone was out there jerking off this monkey, and they got arrested for it. They had to make a law saying it was illegal to jerk off a monkey.
See, I knew Michael Jackson.
I'm not
was
listening to
for a reason.
this.
Oh no! Ed's muted his mic.
A little bit. Go back in the box, Samuel. You're not supposed to hear this.
I was just gonna say I have these bananas.
Oh, rotten bananas. So let me see. So like any other, I'm sure you've had a lot of negative, like, encounters and stuff like that. I mean, overall, like, well, I mean, we're talking about this, our own scene. Like, I mean, man, I've said it enough, like a few times to other people. Like, I wonder. Okay, so like we're in the heart of South Bend, and like it's supposed to be, the Notre Dame. It's like I don't ever see the scene ever getting as big as it used to in that area, and
I don't ever
like. I know. Well, sure. What's your thought?
In my thought, like coming up from the scene, like in high school and up to now, you had people that had places to go, like the Post, which was the all ages venue, which a lot of the place, like Fort Wayne, starting to do the all ages venues again. People are starting to go back to the all ages venues, which you need to, because a lot of us are not spring chickens anymore.
Right.
But that was the thing. Like back in the day, you had the Post, you had Skunk's Nest up in Michigan, you had whatever. I think you had like 2 or 3 venues in South Bend, and whatever venues you had in Fort Wayne, and even like in Warsaw, there was 2 places over there. There was the Turning Point, and then there was the Firehouse over there, and then a lot of those people became friends and they networked. And if they couldn't get a venue to play them, they would play at people's houses or a barn, and that went away. And my other thing is, like, the crowds now are faces I've never seen before. And the one thing I want to start telling them, like, hey, you need to go back to your high school and tell those people behind you about the scene and start bringing the scene back up that way.
Right.
Because
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So we had the same conversation with another guest about the same exact thing. And I'm thinking, well, where the hell did all these people go then that used to support it? What happened? Did it just get older and forget to be metal, or is it the kids? Or
I think they stopped caring.
Stop caring. Huh.
Yeah.
I really grew up, got jobs, got families, stopped doing it. And then this generation, in my opinion, don't come out to shows because I don't think the younger generation now in school are trying to play in bands. They're more worried about watching chicks shake ass on TikTok and whatever else that they're doing. Like, I think To be 100% honest, and I've said this on another episode, I think the whole smartphone, social media era has ruined it for the younger generation because all they want to do is watch stuff now on their phones. They don't want to go out and do anything.
Because they have gotten such short attention spans.
Yeah, and I'm a parent. I've got 4 kids, and they all have phones or tablets, so I feel like I'm continuing the fucking trend of shit that I bitch about, but here I am just as guilty of it by letting them have the same thing.
Give them lighter fluid and some fucking matches and see, let them
experience the way I used to.
Well, and I kind of agree with that, but the thing is, like I want to say, like, one of my close friends that's not in the music scene, but he has 2 kids, and like they do the whole thing with their phones and tablets and video games, but let it come to like Saturday and Sunday, none of that stuff is not going to be played with. He's like, you have outside, you go out in the woods, I don't want to see you for 4 hours, check in, but go be a kid,
True.
there, don't worry about what's on here. And
we try that too. I've got 4-wheelers for my kids to go out and ride and everything. It's like you tell them to go out and shoot the dog or something. It's like, get off the game and go outside and ride your damn 4-wheeler. Right. Do I have to? Yes, you do.
Just don't pull an Aussie.
My thing is, like, though, are kids even interested in this stuff these days? Like, when music, how often? I couldn't tell you the last time I seen a high school era band, like kids in high school starting out playing in bands, because that's where the scene started from, was like kids in school.
Well, and it kind of gives me like 5% hope. There's a band out of Fort Wayne called Damage, and those kids are actually still in high school, and I think they started right as they were freshmen in high school. So it's still possible. So like I said, 5%. And they've actually went on tour and everything and have done things, but they still play shows at the local scene, so there's a chance somewhere, there's always a possibility.
I mean, there's a lot of young shredding kids too. I mean, the internet has like bred a bunch of good young musicians.
And a lot of it has to do with the internet, because like these shredders, they just sit in their house. They're not out doing bands because, like the MIDI drums or whatever have you has, you want your timing to be in a 4/4 or a 6/8 or whatever have you. You can do it at the hand of your tablet or whatever.
Yeah.
There's not kids going out there, like, Brandon said, going out there and starting bands and jamming it out. I mean, my band does that. We go out and hammer it out.
Right.
I mean, I use the technology I have now to write riffs, and I'll send it off to the guys, be like, hey, what do you think? And, Chad will probably start putting a drum beat to it at home, but we hash it out at the jam space.
Like what bands normally do,
Mm-hmm.
Normal bands.
Because I granted, like bands like Cannibal Corpse, all those guys, like 3 of the members now still reside in Florida. The other 2, one I believe still lives in Denver. The other one's actually up in Oregon now. And they said the only way they write material and stuff back and forth to each other is just through the internet.
Oh yeah, file sharing.
Yeah, file sharing.
Which it works. I mean, if you're that level, it's cool. I mean, yeah. I think they've know each other well enough to do that. But
right. But I wish I could be George Korfgreiner and people write my lyrics for me.
Sure. But like, yeah, like that doesn't always, I mean, I guess when you're big enough that makes sense, but when you're in a small band and still trying to find your sound, it's not feasible. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I feel like
you at least got. Go ahead. I was just saying, I miss the camaraderie of getting together with people and playing music. Like, right. I feel like that's something that's lost when people are just writing over the internet. Like, you're missing the whole experience of actually getting together and playing music as a group.
Right.
I miss the jam nights that used to be up at Cheers. I went to one jam night, and this was back when I was in Hail Shot, and I went up to one jam night, and I actually had a lot of fun. I forget who I jammed with. It was two other individuals, but I was on drums.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember they would hold that, and I don't think they have it anymore. And
I don't think they've had it since Danielle was there.
I
That
feel
was when
like
she was-
I know I feel like the guy that put it together was there, and then he decided I don't know what happened, but he ended up doing it at JT's, but I don't think he does that no more. So I don't know what's going
I don't
on.
know.
I
don't
mean,
know.
that particular place showed up in a previous podcast, but I'm not gonna talk about it right now. You know.
I do miss a lot of the shows at Cheers. They were a lot of fun.
Well, because it's a legendary place. I mean,
Right.
it's been around. It's been around longer than you and I have been playing, and it's like
Actually, I believe was the first time you and I played together at Cheers, or was that at the Dewdrop?
there's the dewdrop.
Was the Dewdrop, and then it was Cheers because we showed up late at. So we showed up late at the Cheers show because somebody had forgotten their pedal board. Matt, I believe it was Matt, and we were already in Napanee at the time, and we practiced in Webster.
Right.
And they made the greatest decision to hurry up and drive back for it. I'm like, are you guys fucking insane? And we ended up being like so fucking late. And Finn had booked the show. You guys were on it. I forget who else was on it, but they opened up the show. And as soon as we got there, Finn was like, I don't care. You're next. Get up on stage.
Right.
And I think we only played like 15 minutes for that set. Like for real.
Mm.
There's a negative turn into a positive.
I mean, you do what you can, I guess.
Yeah, I think that was the quickest I had ever put up and at the time I didn't have my rack. I just had like a couple of cymbal stands. And
What venue did we play at, Ed, when we played up there when I first met you?
that was Hardy's and Elkhart.
I always forget all those fucking places. Like people say a name of a venue. I'm like, I don't know. I've probably been there. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, they
not that we played all the time. It's just I'm terrible at remembering shit like names and people's names, venues names, band names.
I'm terrible with people's names, but like venues are remembered to just the experience in my head stays.
I've seen people that I've seen and I played there from other bands. And they come up and talk to me, and I'm like, "What's up, dude? What's up, buddy?" If I call someone dude or buddy, it's usually because I don't know their name.
Right.
What's up, guy?
How you doing, guy?
Dude, I've had that so many times. Like, hey, I loved you guys last week when you played. I'm like, did we talk? Yeah, we did. I'm like, man,
Nice to meet
I've
you.
I've slept since then. What's your name again? Oh, you should remember my name, dude. I have a normal life outside of these walls.
You're not allowed to. You're a rock star, remember?
No, I'm not. That's another thing too. Like at that show that I went up to in Gary, when Ed was playing, I knew Ed was playing. I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Gary? I've never been to Gary. I never played Gary.
It's a place called the D.
I've never been there.
Yeah, look up a guy named Ben Rose. He books up there.
Oh, I know Ben.
Yeah, Ben Rose books there. He does sound.
Oh, okay. Because I met Ben.
Okay. Ed, you've known me forever. Have you ever noticed me to be awkward?
You make awkward faces. Like
awkward faces, yes, but
you make like serious faces. That's the only thing I can think of that's awkward about you.
Right. But like, I've never. You could say anything in the world to me, and I would not feel awkward or anything. But I had this guy do it, and I was like, I've never felt this way, and I was like, it's so fucking weird. He introduced me. He's like, and he was introducing me to his girlfriend. He was like, let me introduce you to the famous Cory Stump. And I'm like, who the fuck? I ain't famous. And I'm just sitting there like, and I shut down and I'm like, oh God, I'm not famous. No.
I've never been called that or been a Gary.
Dude, I see, the funny thing is everybody's like, oh, you went to Gary, gang.
I mean, I'm sure it's not all like,
it's not bad.
I mean, they got a brand new casino out there. It's really nice. whatever.
Well, and the part, like, the funny part is, like, where the D is, that's the comedy club out there.
Right.
Dude, if you go and do your thing and mind your business and not be a fool, nobody fucks with you.
Right.
You know, be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually enjoy going out to Gary than I actually enjoy going to South Bend.
South Bend still scares me. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's just, I feel like that part of that part. I hold back to what I was saying. I feel like that part of town does not give a shit. I mean, we had, and I mentioned this before in the other episodes about, we had the Favor, which was like a huge venue, ginormous, and it just like fell apart and nobody cared. It's like, whose fault is that? Was it the venues or is it the people? Because the last show that was ever there was supposed to be a Chevelle show.
Uh-huh.
And we played, I think Chevelle was on a Thursday and they canceled. And we had some sort of like local showcase Friday. And anybody who bought a Chevelle ticket got a refund and got free entry to that showcase. Did any of those people come? Fuck no, they didn't. So I felt like our show, our showcase show we played there, the only time I ever played at the Fever, like, was the last show there. And like, I remember, and again, I said this in the episode, the owner of the Fever was there and he yelled at the promoter. He's like, I'm not running a fucking paid practice here. And the promoter guy's like, eh, they kind of brushed him off. Like, he didn't give a shit. Like, I don't know. It was,
I was at the Fever one time for one show, and that was Crowbots and Clutch. That was it.
damn, how long ago was that?
Oh, the Sword was on it too,
Hmm.
and I cannot remember.
I mean, they
who it
had
was.
like a good run of shows. I remember.
Dude, I remember Fear Factory and
Yeah.
Hate Eternal coming.
I was there. Yeah.
I hate you. And I'm pretty sure that was the OG lineup too of Fear Factory, wasn't it?
No, the bass player was different, and the drummer was not. The drummer and bass player were not. Drummer and bass player were not the original guys.
Was Dino still in it?
Dino was still in it, and so was Burton. The funny part was, I had such a good time, and the bar was kicking us all out. And guess who's coming up to the door? Fucking Dino's like, "Hey." Oh, I was like, "Dino." He's like, "What's up, man? I'm gonna go back in there and get a drink." I'm like, "Man, they won't let us in." And I'm like, can I have a selfie? And I didn't know how to use the phone. Come on, man, this is easy. And then I got a picture with him. He made fun of me because I didn't know how to use a fucking iPhone. Whatever.
That's funny.
But he was pretty cool in person. I wish I would have got him a drink.
Talking about old venues, I remember when back in the day when the Ruin was called Berlin Music Pub at Fort Wayne.
I played there when it was the
Yep.
Berlin. Yeah.
I played there when it was the Berlin.
So you guys were familiar with that area at that time and what was across the road, which was the Outlaws Hangout.
Yeah.
Oh, was it that biker bar that looked like a biker bar from like Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
right across. That was their
Oh.
clubhouse.
Okay, I heard about that.
First time ever being there, and again, small town peanuts. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. We park beside the venue. Well, then we see a bunch of ambulances running by. And this was a big show. It was a packed house. It was for somebody's house that had burned down. Janie Watson had actually put us on the bill. And it was the house behind the venue where these guys were going. And we're like, what's going on over there? Oh, somebody just got shot. So there was a murder behind the venue, and then the Outlaws Biker Bar clubhouse right in front. Great. This is awesome. We do our set, we get done, we're going out to our vehicle, and we're loading up, and two outlaws come up to me. They're like, "Hey, you!" I'm like, They're like, "Is that your van?" And I'm like, "This is us." I look back, I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Set it on fire. I was like, I just pissed myself. Thank you. It's like I didn't know who people, like a lot of people were up in the Fort Wayne area. We had never played. That was like our second time playing up in Fort Wayne.
Right. That's no longer a biker bar. It's just some empty building, probably with flowers.
Actually, it's a yoga place.
Oh my god, that's so weird. It's got to be haunted with like the ghosts of dead bikers.
Something, man. It's so weird when I walk, like when I came up for you guys, when the Cambion, you guys, and who else was on that show? Death Hacks? No. Somebody else, and then Adjourn?
No, the Black Order.
The Black Order, Kevin's band. Ajur?
I don't know how to say it. It's RG.
RG?
RG. I'm gonna ask
Kevin,
if
you are listening to this
how the
right
fuck
now,
do you
we are
pronounce your name?
bad people.
RG. It's got to be RG.
Yeah, I remember
Energy.
them.
Yeah.
Yes, energy.
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but yeah,
It's so weird.
Yeah.
What is up with bands making weird names that really don't mean that?
I mean, it's better. It's best to do that than making a logo that you can't understand how to read. I mean, that's the thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's a topic for another discussion for
Right.
a gripe session. Bands that come see my band. What's your band's name? Well, it's on the logo. I mean, all it looks like
scribbled.
is like
I want to make a
vomit.
band that has one of those. I want to make a band that has one of those logos, but it just the name is called Inkblot, but you can't understand it because it is an Inkblot.
You know what? You gave me an idea for a shirt. I want it to be in the death metal kind of look.
Yeah.
But it says "fuck the IRS" on it.
Dude, that reminds me of the shirt that Hellshot put out. It was the dude from 700 Club.
The old guy?
Pat Robertson.
old Pat Robertson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a Pat Robertson sacrificing a goat. Everybody bought into it.
He looked like fucking every time he came on TV, I think of like Howdy Doody, like the fucking puppet. And I'm like, what is he talking about today?
My Facebook memories is about to show me something here the next week or two that cracks me up because looking at it now, it ended up being in very poor taste. But before the era of the Beast happened, it was just starting to become a thing. And then I thought it was funny to have a shirt designed of the old masked doctors, the plague doctor masks.
Oh, the crow looking things.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them standing over a bunch of dead bodies, and
that's kind of like the CD cover of Autopsy.
Yeah, well, I said I'll paraphrase. I don't remember what I said, but I was like, "Come and get one of these to help combat the beast" or something like that.
Oh, gee.
And then like the whole era of the Beast took over. It's like, well, good thing those shirts never really made it to anywhere because everything got shut down. I was like, because that was really in bad taste.
Oh my god.
I forget what band. Well, I can't remember what band it was, but they actually had a Bernie Sanders shirt that was holding Donald Trump's head. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that too. I can't think of what. There was also like an actual.
Her eyes glazed over.
I'm thinking of another one too because there's a lot of bands that I think did some shit like that.
Well, I knew Municipal Waste did the one where
Were they on a tank or something?
no. Well, I believe they did a tank one, but the one in particular that I'm remembering is where Trump was blowing his brains out.
Oh, I've never seen that one. Yes,
Yeah, I actually own that one.
These guys give me a good idea. I'm gonna find a tank and get the band on top of it, just for no reason other than just take a picture.
Good luck getting Joel up there
Why?
because he's old.
Well, technically, if he's listening, our newest bass player, David, he's older than all of us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, dude, I did not know that was. I think I remember telling you this. I was like, I did not know that was David from Poison Aries, and I was like, holy shit, that dude was like the nicest dude I had ever met. And then he sees
He looks
me,
like a lot of people. Yeah. Sorry.
He looks like every Joe Schmo I've ever met.
Right. But yeah, he's the oldest one. Sorry, I'm outing him right now, but I doubt he listens to this. He's like old school, be like, I don't listen to podcasts. That's how he talks. But yeah.
Dude, what do you guys think of the future of podcasting? I think it's great.
I think it's as gone as far as it could go aside from subject matter. I mean, you could film them, you could do a mobile Well, I mean, again, I've only recently got into this thanks to the Beast, and like, it's just kind of cool to listen to people talk, even though I thought I wouldn't like it. But
I got into podcasting back way before the Beast. It was like maybe 3 years before that.
right, it's
Right.
been a while, and I've just recently discovered it, and it's just like, oh,
You're lying.
I'm dead serious. The first one I started listening to was Tune Junkies one out of just curiosity because I knew everybody on it. Shout out to
Are they
Chris.
still even doing anything?
Chris, well, I think he does it, but not often anymore. Shout out to Chris.
Right.
Thank you for introducing me to this fabulous art.
Chris
And,
is such a sweetheart, and
he's hilarious in his own right.
Chris, Lexi. Who was the other dude?
She disappeared. Nick doesn't do it
Nick.
anymore. Nick, no, I haven't seen Nick in a while, and I don't think
I
she
love
does
Nick.
it anymore.
Dude,
Yeah.
dude eats a lot of food.
I'll eat a lot of food with him. Shit,
Dude,
okay.
I think he could give you a run for your money, Ed.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'll watch him after I'm done eating a lot of food. I'll watch him eat a lot of food.
First
Right.
time I met
I
him,
know
he
he- I
came
know he
up
likes
to
to-
me and bought one of our shirts, and I had no idea who the guy was, but we played a garage show out in Converse, and
Pride Fest.
yeah, it was Friday. This was before Friday Fest, but that's where all this shit went down at.
Gotcha.
And then he came down, he bought a shirt. He was cool. He talked to us, but I'm very socially awkward, so a lot of people think I'm being an asshole. I was like, no, I just have resting bitch face. So like when people come up and talk to me, it's just like that dude looks like he's mad. I was like, I'm not. Trust me. I'm just, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Oh, you guys are cool. I'm like, yeah, thanks. Like, what am I supposed to say? I'm not a bragger. I don't be like, yeah, we're fucking badass, because I always think we're awful. Like, we could do better. So that's how I always see it, is like, hey man, you guys were awesome. Like, oh, thanks. I thought we sucked. But
back to the podcasting, like, I think the only way like the future for this goes is like would be like a VR podcast where like you're almost in the room with them, but you're not. I feel like that
Right.
was, but I don't know as far how the future of it goes. I could only see that, just the VR version of it.
Well, and the other thing is too, like, like in the beginning, you had to meet up and do the
Right.
podcast like this. The way you guys have it set up, heck, I'm comfortable in my own home.
I
This is-
think
this is-
because of
this-
like the Beast, the Zoom thing got even bigger than it ever
Oh, yeah.
was.
Oh yeah. Well, and the one thing I like about podcasting, it takes you more in depth than you would have heard on a radio interview or a interview that was like outside a venue or something like that.
Mhm.
It takes you in more in depth, more personal. And I love it.
We don't prepare questions. We just kind of like, that's the thing. Like some of them are prepared after a while, but I just kind of wing it because usually that's the best entertainment is
Have it with Ranch.
and-
we haven't
and-
been researching any of the guests either. So besides people that Ed might know or I might know, like we've had people on that we have no idea who they are or what they even play. So we're just go in there not knowing what to expect, but I think it makes it more interesting because you never know what the hell they're going to talk about.
Go in head first and sort it all out.
just go in dry.
Yeah. Well, and I think I didn't know for the longest time that Ed was your co-host, Brandon. I remember the first time me and you were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, Ed's my uncle." And he's like, "What, really?"
What? I forget. I actually told him I forget why you call me that. I'm trying to remember.
Dude, I think it was back. It had to have started back when there was a lot of those shows happening at McKee's and Goshen.
Okay, it didn't have to
And
do with
we-
the family member, right?
No, I thought. Funny enough, right before the Beast happened, that was when I found out that you knew my cousin
Okay,
and hung out with my cousin.
right.
But I think it started way before that. No. It was weird. It was actually before the Beast. We were always seeing each other at the Michigan shows. And that's when I started calling you the
Michigan shows or Mishawaka shows.
No, the Michigan shows. Because there was the one time you came up to the Michigan show when Knee Deep in the Dead played.
Oh,
That
that
was
was
the
my first. That was my first one ever there.
Yeah, and then you came to the other show, which was EOC's show, CD release show, where I now have the teeth missing now because of that
Mm.
show.
Mm.
Because I remember you both being there, and that was when me and Kevin Mikowski started calling you Uncle Ed because you were outside talking to some people, and I was like, Uncle Ed, isn't it past time for you to go to bed?
Uncle Ed, because I'm old. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I've always, and I remember you messaging me, why are you calling me uncle? I was like, well, you know what, dude, I highly respect you, and I wish you were my uncle, and that's what you're actually saved in my phone now is as Ed, Uncle Ed, the
Uncle Ed.
Mexican metalhead.
Actually, like, I guess if I had a nickname, that would be cool with me because I was saying to my band, I'm like, how come everybody in a band gets a fucking nickname? Like, I don't think I've ever had a nickname my whole life. Like, oh, I don't know, that's Squeege or
Right.
whatever fucking nickname people give.
Well, that's like the guys in the band, the Cambion. They all call me uncle, and it's funny enough how that whole thing started was because Trent Clark. I started calling him nephew back when he was playing bass for Lenore Colt.
Mm.
And he just started calling me Unc. And then I've known Tyler Stockton for years. We've always been cool, but then he started calling me Unc. I was like, oh God, it's like when I call Ed Uncle. God damn it.
That's funny. Nice.
Isn't it crazy though? Like, I know for me, for like musicians that are under me, calling me Uncle, that makes me feel pretty good. How about when you hear me call you Uncle Ed?
It's just a nickname that's catchy. It's all how I see it, you know.
It needs to be on your next guitar pick, Uncle Ed.
You know what? That might be a good idea because I'm always ordering dumb shit like that. Anyway,
Just
Just
throw
don't-
them out to the crowd.
me,
Yeah.
I just hand them. You know what? This is what I do. Like we sell them at the table, but I take a handful, and if like somebody says your band's cool, and I just hand them out just as a gift for them saying that.
I bet if you do that, Ed, I want one. I better
And
get
sometimes I just like fling one just so it's stick in the corner of the venue. It's like,
one.
oh,
Do you ever
what
do a
band is it?
Paul Stanley where you put it in the mouth and spit it out to the crowd?
No, that's the beast. The beast ruling will not allow that.
So my merch box of shit from TMD is around the corner. I think there's still buttons and stickers and guitar picks, and we used to give all that shit away. If someone wanted it, I was like, I don't want to charge them. Just fucking take it. I just appreciate the fact that you want our shit.
Right.
Right.
We're not obviously we're not in it to make money. It's just what we do, and then it's kind of expensive hobby for most people like myself. But yeah,
I guess like on my end, like the sticker form of the deal, like I think we only charge like $2 but these are actually like big vinyl stickers that we have. I would love to give them away, like
Right.
NBA. I went to Sticker Mule and bought like 10 of one and then another 10 of a different design, and I actually ended up giving those away.
no, we don't. We sell the shirts. I know that, but like the picks, actually, the ones I get made actually come out of my own money, so I'm allowed
Right.
to give them away. But if somebody wants to buy them when they go to the table, that's fine. But those actually come out of my own pocket, not the band's fund. So
Yeah, that's where most of
Hey.
the merch came from. Is out of my pocket, so I always did what I wanted with it because like it's my money I'm
Right.
wasted on
Right.
it. So
Right. Well, and like with my band, like I guess what we're trying to do is like do that recycling type thing where like, yeah, we know we have to spend money to make money, but any of the money that we usually get back in merch sales, we try and definitely put it back in the merch sales, unless band like somebody in the band needs like strings or drumsticks. It's like, okay, we can take it out of the band fund if you don't want to take it out of your own pocket. Like I had just gotten the dink that I play with now on stage, and I had to send both the dink and my Randy Rhodes guitar in to get up to par for a show. By the way, shout out to Adam Hart at God, Ed, help me out here. What's his Facebook page?
Goshen Guitar Works.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Adam. You're rich because of me. I'm kidding.
And me. But I remember like I needed the guitars for a show, and we just pulled the money out of the band fund because it was between checks, and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do this. What can we do? And yeah, we just took the money and did it that way. So yeah, but I've just trying to recycle the money, like, because yeah, I'm having fun doing it this time around, but I'm actually taking it a little bit more serious. Not that I didn't take any of my other bands serious. I didn't have much of a hands-on time until I got into like BA in this band. So it's like I'm taking it a little bit more serious. Yeah, at some point maybe there'll be something given away, but not right now because I'm trying to. Again, we're just small potatoes, as Ed would say, but we're trying to get our feet into the door.
There's a debate about, like, I mean, this could be a whole subject about how much merch is, especially shirts. And I'm like, well, I guess I don't mind paying that because the fucking shirt lasts a pretty long time, considering.
Right, and that was actually at one of our, what show was it that we played? It was actually the Dropout King show. So because at the time we only had our dog tags and we had our vinyl stickers and shirts, and I forget. I think a certain size it's like $20, and it goes past a certain size, it goes up to 25. But people were complaining that our shirts were marked up too high, and I was like, no, they're not. You go and look at anybody else's, you're paying out to like $36.
How much were your shirts?
25.
That's normal.
We sold shit for 10 or 15 and still people would complain.
That's a shirt. It lasts forever.
Right.
You got a shirt for life.
And what's been funny is like the last show we played in October at Carl's, I think we sold like 6 shirts, and then turned around at the show at Ignition this past weekend. We sold out of our 3X's, which I think we had 2 or 3 left. Sold a bunch of dog tags and everything, and I was like, holy crap.
People buy it if it's there,
And then we had people asking if we actually had the hoodies for sale, and I was like, no, these were gifts from our lead singer, and that turned into our stage like uniform basically. We're going to turn to Slipknot, and I don't like it. But you got to have a gimmick.
That reminds me of a conversation I had with my bass player, because I said, just wear black. He's like, that's stupid. I'm like, why? Like,
why is it stupid to wear black?
I don't like. I was like, I'd rather have you look like a band than not look like a band, because like, this is a totally unrelated story about it, but in a way, it's kind of similar. How like, I once went to I saw a cover band in Michigan, this little butt town, right? Butt town. It was it seemed like it was in a barn, but regardless, it's this cover band, and I'm just sitting there drinking, and I was like watching the band. So like, the guitar player had like a jersey on and like New Balance shoes, and like I think he had little jean shorts. Singer was in a dress, like she looked like a librarian, and I don't remember the bass player. The bass player might have been wearing the same thing the guitar player wearing. And there's this drummer in the back, leather vest, no shirt, leather pants, and like it. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you should at least look like you're going to play a side. I mean, the drummer looked like he's look, like he was playing for Judas Priest. Like he seemed like the part. In a way, maybe he was overdressed, but like the rest of the band did not match. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I know cover bands make a lot of money, more than I'll ever make, but it's like, at least look the part, something, look entertaining.
Well, that's like I had a current member that he he did it one time, and I said never again, because we're trying to do a thing here. But he wore his work shoes that has paint all over his shoes to a show. And I looked at him and I was like, look, I understand your work shoes is all you got, but if you need, I'm going to help you buy a certain pair of shoes.
It's like some cheap Converse. You don't have to buy the real ones. They make like Walmart ass ones.
Dude, I don't even fucking care. I'll rock the shit out of Walmart brand shit.
Right. It doesn't matter. As long as it looks like, not your work shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
but, and then and funny enough, we actually ended up having the same pair of black pants on at the Ignition show, and I was like, God damn it, I hate you. I hate you.
No, but like, I don't know. I know that it's subjective to some people how the band looks because they care about the music. But like, I
Right.
don't know. It could be worse. Like you ever you go to like a music store and like sometimes you see the guy with like that fedora hat and the tight jeans and like
Right.
the leather shoes. I'm like, why do the people look like that? I don't understand. Like musicians, you're like, oh, you can tell he's musicians the way he dresses, but like sometimes it's like
What
overkill.
what what I've what I've loved here of late, and I always get like looks. Actually, at the admission show, I took my hoodie off and I had my Death Row Records shirt on because I love rap.
Sure.
I actually and right now because I thought I was going to be on camera, I actually have my Bone Thugs and Harmony flat
I
billed
saw
hat on.
that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So
All
I mean,
right.
I love, and it's always funny to get that person who's like, dude, you're a metalhead? Yeah, I love music. Like,
Right.
I love it all. I don't care. Actually, still shout out to you, Ed. Thank you for letting me have half like your CD library.
Oh yeah, I'm out of CDs for the sell. Sorry.
Dude, Brandon, okay, this guy wants to talk about selling stuff on Facebook marketing. This dude sells me, I don't know, it was damn near close to 40 CDs one
Probably.
time. Guess, take a wild guess how much he charged me.
Probably like $50,
Nope, lower.
20.
It was like 20.
Well, it depends on what there was one where he gave me like over like $100, I think.
It was the well, it was two of them that you gave me. You gave me that Dark Throne one, and then
Yeah,
you gave me the
like the first
Cannibal.
pressing. Oh yeah, that
Yes,
Cannibal
yeah,
Special Edition, which is like
the
impossible to
special
find.
edition demo. Yeah, that has
Uh,
0 on it.
did I ever have the first Pantera album or Far Beyond Driven album, the original one? I don't think I got that.
I've seen that. I've seen that cover. I do not think you gave me that. I don't
I
think
don't
you
know if I
sold me
have
that.
that. My friend had it.
I know you're
Oh
the
well.
reason I listened to Archfire.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw them one time live and I'm like, holy fuck.
Archspire.
Yeah,
They're fucking
Archfire.
nasty.
Yeah,
They're nasty live. That's where like I ended up seeing them. I heard of them and then I saw them like, holy shit.
Yeah,
Like
they're
this is
ridiculous.
like live they could do that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go buy an album from them. Cool.
So I do have a question for you guys that I love asking everybody.
Sure.
What's your guys' dream show to go see?
Mine'll never happen because then I'm a dipshit and didn't do it when I had so many times to do it. But I would, in the original lineup of the Black Dahlia Murder, obviously can't do that now with Trevor. I never did get to see them, and they've been my favorite band.
I really want.
Yeah, I kept inviting you to Fort Wayne. You're like, I gotta work. I'm like, come on.
Dude,
just
I've
fucking
seen
call
them
in.
3 times. I saw them twice in Fort Wayne, and then me and Matt drove up to it's the Black Christmas that up there in Detroit that they throw,
Mhm.
and it was the year that Black Dahlia Murder headlined it. And oh my god, it was so freaking insane.
They played in fucking Kokomo at one point, and I had to plow snow when I still worked at the state, so I missed that fucking show.
So, my buddy and Ed, you might know who this is. Braxton Kaiser. He's the lead singer of Between the Killings.
I think I'm like Facebook friends with him, but I've never really talked to him.
So back in the day, when I want to say Black Dahlia Murder had just hit that peaking point. I forget what show Braxton had booked at Berlin, and I've actually heard this story from numerous people that were there. But you know how like beside you to walk to the bathrooms, you gotta walk beside the stage. Trevor was sitting right there watching the show. Never told anybody who he was. He had his hoodie up. One person recognized him. He's like, "Hey, shh, don't make a scene. I'm just here to watch this band, and I'm out of here."
It's a long drive.
Yeah, and just well, that's how I felt like when after the Beast, BA played their first show, and the lead singer from the Convalescents showed up to my show that I had booked.
He lives like in Ohio, don't he?
Oh yeah, like the upper part of like Ohio, close to Michigan. And only way I recognized him, he had his mask on, and I was like, and my wife was like, "Hey, who's the Rob Zombie guy?" I was like, "That's Keith." Holy shit! And funny enough, I had actually first met Keith. Hailshot played our third show with Ice Nine Kills over in Portage, and that was actually the Convalescent's first show, first tour ever. And now I turn around and they're like opening up for Suffocation, which
That's funny. My interaction with him the first time I saw him at Michigan Metal Fest last year, and walked up to him like, we've been Facebook friends for a long time. And I told him that. I was like, just talk. But he probably has like a million friends on there.
Right.
It was nice to finally meet you, but he was all serious. And then like
that's actually just Keith.
I know. And then like instead of buying a shirt, I was like, ooh, barbecue sauce. They had like their own barbecue sauce. I bought it.
Right.
And then later on, I ran into him like in normal clothes. I said something smart ass like I do just to break the ice.
Right.
I forgot. I made some smart ass comment about the barbecue sauce, and then he goes, and he kind of laughed, and he goes, "What'd you think of it?" I'm like, "Oh, a lot of molasses." He's like, "Okay," and then and he walked away.
I thought it was funny because after playing that show, it was the Full Terror Assault that Convalescence was on tour with Overkill, and that was the first time I had seen Keith since then. Yeah. Well, no, I saw him one time at Carl's with My Own Will. Yeah. But anyway, and I walked up to Keith and I was like, dude, it's crazy to see what you started with and where you're at now. It's crazy. It's fucking insane.
Right. Because he has like a booking agent. And that's how I talked to him, because he tried to book some shows with us before and it never came through. So,
right.
Hopefully he puts us on something, but better.
Okay, so the Black Dahlia Murder for Brandon. How about you, Ed?
Like dream show?
Yeah, that you want to see. That what? One that you would just kill to see.
Dimension Zero, hands down.
Never heard of them.
What? Well, tomorrow when you get on your favorite streaming platform, you fucking listen to them. They're my all-time favorite band of all time.
Or you could
reasons.
Or you could do the one thing that I've always done for people. I just usually send it to them because that gives you the satisfaction of laying your head down tonight knowing that you sent me a band.
Oh well. I love it. Basically, it's the members of In Flames, if In Flames was more angrier. That's all you got to know.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I love In Flames.
The singer, the singer used to sing for Marduk, but just picture In Flames music more pissed off.
And Marduk or Marduk?
Marduk, how you ever say it?
Is that black metal band?
Yeah, but
Marduk.
Yeah, I guess he was the original singer, but like I love that band. Melodically, it just does it for me, and it's just angry.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I need to watch every band angrily, but there's some. I think that would be my only one because they're no longer together. I mean, if that was going to be an ultimate, because there's a couple bands that, I'm going to see Emperor later, so I never thought that would happen.
Is that show sold out, by the way?
You better buy your ticket now. I bought mine. It was $80.
Ooh, I'm riding up with you on that one. Ooh,
right on.
Love me a good black metal band. It's like fine wine.
Well, that's like the finest of fine. There's a difference.
Melodic, because they're more melodic.
Well,
aren't they?
They weren't about slaughtering babies. They just had a kind of sympathy.
Not all black metal bands are about slaughtering babies.
I know.
Death metal.
Symphonic elements that like worked for me versus just being straight.
God,
the time.
Well, we're running on 2 hours, fellas. So I think it's about time we cut this one's umbilical cord of these babies because.
Well, I'll let you guys know who mine would be because I know it'll never happen, and I can just hear the hisses right now, and I don't care because I just love the music. I don't love the person, but I would love to see Burzum.
Right on.
Yeah,
fair enough.
Crickets.
I don't know who that.
I'm not too familiar. I know who they are, but that's cool though. Like you want something.
Burzum is Varg. He was the guy that was doing a lot of the church burnings back in the day.
Right.
And yeah. If you look up Lords of Salem, not the Lords of Salem.
The movie.
It's a Rob Zombie movie.
No, it's the movie.
With the Macaulay Culkin kid or his brother. I've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Varg is the guy that kills Romulus. That's Burzum. That's the dude that Romulus also, I think the first album, Romulus was
Not the planet where Spock was from, but yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, do you have a song that you would want to share with us for the end of this? Obviously, you just have to send it to me and I can add it to the end, or if not, then we'll just roll with something else.
You know what? Roll with something, because when you sent me that earlier, I was like, I ain't got nothing. Let's just go balls to the wall.
I could be a complete dick and put your favorite song that you hate now.
No, I don't hate it now. I'm actually okay with it.
So
I just didn't like performing.
That would be cool if you just put that one at the end.
You know what? Go ahead. Let's not plug my current project. Let's not do that. I mean, if you want to put Danger Zone Hail Shot on there, yeah, that's completely fine. But too bad you couldn't put the video, because the video is way better.
But again, I appreciate you coming out and talking with us tonight.
I appreciate this. I hope I gave you enough content.
Yes.
I always wonder when we go past an hour, I was like, does anyone even listen to podcasts more than an hour? Because most of our episodes have all went over an hour.
I listen to 83 Weeks, and that's because I'm also a wrestling geek.
Oh, so
and there's so I listen to 83 Weeks. Some of those get up into the 3-hour range, and so it's like I'm okay with that. I can listen to Eric Bischoff, bitch.
Someone asked if this was a ripoff of Dark Side of the Ring. I was like, yeah. I used to have a blog called The Dark Side of the Scene. I was like, before that was a TV show. I was like, but did I take influence from that? Maybe.
The lettering looked identical, and I'm like, you know what? If he did, cool. If not, cool. What? Hey, you got to start somewhere, man.
I just figured maybe A&E will pick us up, or Vice or whatever. Can like, oh, you guys we already got this show going on here. You guys can have your own TV show, or we're just gonna get a cease and desist order at some point.
Right. Well, and my thing is, when I first saw this Breathe Light, I was very happy about it, because it does take you in depth from a fan standpoint, because like I said before, I was a fan starting into the scene, and now I see where I am now, and I'm lucky to be where I am, and people like you and Ed doing this, thank you.
Sure. I mean, it was his idea. Well, actually, I think it's just started in his garage. We just started ranting about band shit.
Yeah, I have another podcast that was about conspiracies and everything else, and it kind of started with, I thought the conspiracies was against like drummers, because I've never had good experiences with any drummer that's ever been in a band with me. They've always had some sort of issues, so I thought there was just some sort of a global conspiracy of drummers not being completely evolved.
Right. Well, anymore, like musicians in general, like you just couldn't. There was the thing. Oh, you couldn't find enough of the bass player, guitar player, singer, whatever have you. Now you find musicians that I have 20 projects. How do you do that?
I can't even have another band. I don't have time, but I get it, I guess. I don't know.
That was actually going to be a topic at some point of one of my rants, is why do musicians feel like they need 15 different bands?
That's a good rant.
Because focus all that energy on one band and make it the best you possibly can, rather than waste your time and energy on all these other projects that are never going to amount to anything, because you don't have time to commit to any of them because you're too wrapped up in all of them.
Right.
But that's another time and another story. So,
and a lot more tacos to eat.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, again, thanks for coming out and talking with us. And anyone out there listening, definitely appreciate you guys sticking around, listening to this. And if you would like to be on a future episode of Dark Side of the Scene, you can always send me an email. Send an email to brandon@darksideofthescene.com, and we will get you scheduled on a future episode. So we're going to roll on out now. If you want to talk a little bit about what this song is, you can. If not, we're just going to jump right into it.
If anybody knows what this song is, this was a song by Kenny Loggins, not written by Kenny Loggins, but it was performed by Kenny Loggins from the motion picture movie Top Gun. And we went back and re-recorded it and just, I wouldn't say butchered it, but we just made it metal. So there you go. There's a little insight on that past.
All righty. Well, again, definitely appreciate coming out and talking with us. So,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
And if you guys don't mind, can I plug my band real quick, please?
Go for it. Go for it.
Sure.
If you guys like music, metal, and heavy stuff like that, go check out my band Ruthless Hustle on Facebook. We're also on all streaming platforms. I'm not 100% sure we have a Bandcamp, but also in our Facebook, we also have our merchandise. You can reach us at Ruthless Hustle at Facebook. And yeah, hope you guys come out to a show and like our Facebook and support us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, again, thank you. And thank you guys for
Thank you.
listening. And we're going to roll on out. Due to legality issues for copyrights, we're not actually able to include this song we just figured out. So I guess, do you have another song you would like for us to leave on here, Corey? Or
here's my band Ruthless Hustle's demo version of Psychosis. Check it out.